Day, number 8. I'm Joe, and I'm here to show off all the comics I bought this week, and I'm going to start with Walking Dead, number 180. This issue, Rick finally meets the new governor, the governor of the Commonwealth, Pamela. So a lot of this issue is Rick showing off Alexandria to Pamela, and they're having a conversation which eventually, leads into them kind of clashing over how the Commonwealth values people who were, prominent in society before the apocalypse, and in Alexandria, everyone is equal. The governor is really, thrown by seeing Rick's house be, the same size as everyone else's, because she's used to living in a place where, if you had a big house once, you have a big house now. And definitely, you can kind of tell that she's upset by Rick, kind of standing up to her and saying that he thinks she's not doing things right. And Rick is not a guy who's going to be afraid to tell her that. And definitely, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hoping they don't just, fight each other. She said that they haven't had any wars at all so far. So I think that maybe maybe they're good with diplomacy, so it'll actually keep the characters out of having another war. But at the same time, in this issue, Dwight rounds up the army just right away when he sees that, these people from the Commonwealth have come in. So, I don't know. He might be kind of, he's kind of real on edge right now. When he came to Alexandria to live there, he kind of went after Rick and was like, I want to take over. And now he, finally is like, oh, I know I need to go apologize to Rick, but then at the same time, he's now, getting really aggressive with this new group. So, he's probably going to cause some kind of problems. But he's off with Mercer, the leader of kind of the army that they have. I don't remember if he's definitely the leader. I know he's the personal bodyguard of the governor, and especially the governor's son. But maybe him and Dwight will kind of get along, and that'll work out then. This is Royal City, number 11. This actually came out last week. I don't know what happened. I swear I had this in my hand, and yet I still didn't buy it last week. But I'm really loving Royal City. I just found out, at the end of this issue, you find out there's a little letter from Jeff Lemire always, and this is the fourth to last issue now of Royal City. So I'm kind of disappointed to see it end, but he said that, in his little note, he said that he just came up with a good ending for it, and it just worked out that, the ending needs to come soon. He didn't want to prolong the story for no reason. So I'm excited to see how he's going to end it. This one kind of starts revealing some stuff. We find out that the girl who came to Pat and told him that she was his niece, she is actually Tommy's daughter with Richie's ex-girlfriend. They slept together at the end of, the last issue? Probably was the last issue, yeah. It's been a little while since they had an issue. So, Pat's kind of dealing with that. He's out, just to eat with her. Olivia is her name, although she goes by Olive. And Pat's wife has shown up from Hollywood. And also in this issue, Richie, after being caught trying to steal his dad's radios by his sister, she just agrees to give him the money that he owes these guys. And so, he goes and he gets the money and he wants to go pay them off alone and keep, her completely out of this. But at the last minute, he just decides to leave town. He's got this $2,000, so he can kind of take off and be okay to go somewhere and live for a little while and get set up. So, I don't know. I mean, the last issue, is coming up 3 issues from now. I don't know if Richie could be the way to just write him out. I don't know. Maybe he'll come back. Hopefully he'll come back still. I mean, you're going to have to deal with some kind of fallout from that, so they got to involve him in that. Plus, they reveal that the night that Tommy died, Richie got in a fight with him because he figured out, he found Tommy with his girlfriend together. And so they definitely have to conclude that kind of somehow. That was apparently part of the big rift between Richie and his sister. So, I don't know. I continue to wonder, how Tommy did actually die, and they will finally reveal it at some point. But I'm guessing it really won't be until the last issue. At this point, that's become such a part of, the story is revealing it. So I really love the series a lot, and I can't wait to see the end of it. This is the Immortal Hulk, #1. I always love a Hulk comic, and this one is really great. It's going back to kind of the Hulk's horror roots, at least, at the beginning. Hopefully it'll last for a little while, where it keeps kind of being a horror comic. It also goes back to where instead of just his anger triggering it, or like his need to survive, Bruce Banner's need to survive, the Hulk comes out at night, which is how it was in the very original comics. I don't know how long it lasted, before they kind of switched to where he became angry and turned into the Hulk. But it's cool to see that they went back to that. The writer at the end of it kind of writes about where that was, he found this old version of the Hulk after he had already, read Hulk comics, and he saw like Hulk cartoons, so he knew the Hulk who got mad and changed. But this one, who's like really more of like this kind of, I don't know, it's really more of like a real uncontrollable monster. Bruce Banner will change into it no matter what. Comics have always focused on Bruce not, getting too angry and being able to control his rage so that he doesn't turn into the Hulk. But now this time he can't even avoid it. And in this issue, it shows, Bruce Banner at the beginning of this gets shot in the head and then changes into the Hulk once night comes, and he's, busts out of the coroner's office. And so it's really going back, I think, too, to the idea of, like, Bruce Banner always being on the move, and people kind of, there's a cop that keeps saying she kind of recognizes him, but, he's just a dead body to her, really, and she's more focused on trying to catch this gas station robber who shot him. And then the Hulk, once he's out, he goes after the people who he goes after the guy who robbed the gas station, who is at this, like, I don't know, biker house, because he owes this guy some money. So the Hulk tears apart the whole house. He beats up the robber a bunch. He's not killing anyone. They do mention that all of them are alive. So the Hulk is kind of, within some range of control, but he's kind of going out as like an angel of vengeance, and going after evil people. I don't think they've ever really done that. This one, he's out to find people who have wronged people, that he knows about. It's a Hulk that's like a little more in control and not just like something bad is happening and luckily the Hulk shows up to stop it. I like the artwork in the Immortal Hulk. Kind of reminds me of Mark Bagley, but it's Joe Bennett. I've never heard of him, I don't think, from any comics. I really like how he sets up his panels here. I like this page a lot where you get, this is the gas station robber shooting this girl in the store, and then there's Bruce seeing the girl get shot and ready to change, out of anger, but then he gets shot too. Then later there's another sequence here that is really good where you see him waking up and changing into the Hulk. He's got the arm uncovered that's starting to turn green and then just changes right into the Hulk's bigger hand. The Hulk himself, though, I think is really an interesting look. Really, I love any Hulk comic, though, because you get so much stuff. Just get so much, like, the Hulk smashing through things, and it's always pretty awesome to see, how they kind of draw all of that. Here you get, everything's all blurry because it's moving so fast. And then here we finally get a whole view of the Hulk, which I feel like this Hulk seems almost bigger than ever. But he's just next to a normal guy, so it's kind of hard to tell. What's kind of interesting about this Hulk is that he can talk. I can't remember if the Hulk could talk like in the very beginning comics, which this is based on, the original issues, but I really like this page also, where you just get a full view of the Hulk's face there, and it's really interesting that have this talking Hulk, because he's kind of going out he's explaining kind of to this guy why he's going after him. So it's kind of almost a meaner Hulk, it seems like, than normal. This is Captain America number 703. It's another part of this story in the future. After Jack Rogers busts out, he thinks he's going to save Captain America, but the Red Skull comes out, revealing to have been saved by the Cosmic Cube and just encased in it underground forever. He basically, starts beating up Jack because, first he thinks he's Steve Rogers, but then I think, he figures out that he's like a descendant of Steve Rogers. Or he just wants to beat him up, really, because he's been locked in a case for generations. Jack comes up with a way to kind of get out from the Red Skull. And so he tells the Red Skull that the Kree have, taken over the government and have been trying to take over humanity. And so Red Skull goes and breaks into the White House, basically, and exposes all this stuff. So that now the Red Skull will be at war with the Kree, and then Jack plans on, first going off and trying to save his son. He gets away from the Red Skull and isn't killed. But he also, is hoping to find a way to save humanity, because General Purser, the guy who's kind of, in charge and has been making sure everyone gets infected with, like, Kree blood and becomes their secret soldiers, he reveals that the Kree will just destroy Earth and then go start over on some other planet and try to take over their people. So now Jack's got to find some way to kind of stop the Red Skull and the Krees, or, at least whoever wins, but it seems like the Kree are really the biggest enemy because they have a whole army and a bunch of spaceships. This is Justice League number 1. This is a really great team for Justice League. I also like that Scott Snyder is writing this, but it is basically the team from the old Justice League cartoon, plus you have Cyborg. It's really great. This issue focuses a lot on Martian Manhunter. He's kind of the main character of this issue, at least, and I love Martian Manhunter. It's all like he's telepathically communicating with all of the Justice League, and they're fighting Vandal Savage, and then by the end of their fight with Vandal Savage, they find out Martian Manhunter senses that this thing called the Totality is on its way to crash into Earth. And they debate a lot about, should they destroy this thing? Could this thing actually be good and help, evolve humanity? It comes from the Source Wall, and in the beginning they kind of reveal that all these different times are seeing this at the same time. So I don't know if that's going to somehow work out, time travel, or I don't know what's going to happen with that. But I really like this team setup, and also what's awesome is they set up a new Legion of Doom in this, and it's very similar to the one. It reminds me a lot of the Legion of Doom from the Super Friends cartoon, although they don't have Toyman or the Scarecrow. And I don't remember definitely Joker was on that Legion of Doom, but I like Joker being as a part of the Legion of Doom. This one's got, so far it's got Grodd, Lex Luthor, Sinestro, the Joker, Black Manta, and Cheetah. So those are all great villains. Basically the classic, an enemy, a great arch enemy of all of them. I've always wondered why they have Grodd. It's hard to pick with the Flash. Lots of times they'll have Grodd or Captain Cold in a version of the Legion of Doom. Actually, I think Captain Cold was in the Super Friends also. They never have Reverse Flash, I feel like. And I really like Reverse Flash. Of course, I don't know, two speedsters going up against each other is only so exciting. Just look at the first 3 seasons of The Flash. Well, to be fair, just look at season 3 of The Flash. That is where it becomes totally unexciting to see a speedster again. This is The Hunt for Wolverine, Weapon Lost, number 2. I'm actually really liking this. At first I was pretty skeptical. I'm not that into this whole Return of Wolverine stuff. I mean, I'll maybe pick up the actual comic, now that they announced the Return of Wolverine miniseries. But I didn't think I'd want to read all these little prelude things. But I really like this one. It's, very detective story-ish. Like I said last week, it's narrated a lot like that. Daredevil is narrating it the whole time. And I really like the team that they have with, I like Frank McGee and Misty Knight and this guy Cypher, this mutant who's addicted to the internet. And then it's just them going around trying to follow leads, basically, in this issue. And most of it is not turning out very well at all. One guy is just this biker who claims to have gotten attacked by Wolverine, but he obviously just, like, slashed himself. But they also, you know, at the same time, they're cutting back and forth to this ranger station out in the middle of the woods in Canada, and they're being attacked by Wolverine, obviously. We don't know why he's attacking them at all, but by the end of the issue, he shows up for Cypher. Yeah, I really like how this comic is written, and, you know, I really didn't think I'd be that into this, but it really turned out to be a great comic. In Weapon Lost, I really like the way they draw Daredevil. They almost kind of draw him as though he has, like, coveralls for his costume, I feel like. It's not, you know, it's not as tight as, like, the normal spandex. Kind of looks like it's made just out of clothes. And then also, he's got really big eyes. Which is really, I don't think I've really ever seen that before. And I love this shot of Daredevil specifically, because I love how he has the DD stand out, even though, you know, he's all in shadow. But yeah, this really big-eyed Daredevil is interesting to me, just because, you know, it's so different than anything I've ever seen. And like I said, I do like... Oh, there's another... His eyes are also really almost blend in a lot with the mask. But, yeah. I really like this interpretation of the costume. And it's nice to see something, you know, a little different from time to time. This is Death or Glory number 2. I don't know completely what to make of this. I like the main story. In this issue, Glory meets up with Pablo. You know, she found the truckload of people, you know, who are kind of all being, like, held hostage. Most of them have been kidnapped. And so she just buys bus tickets for all of them and sends them off to Phoenix, which, as Pablo points out, that's not really, like, a good deed. And so a lot of it is Pablo is, like, a mountain climber, so he can stitch Glory up after she got shot the first issue. And so Pablo wants to find his family, who he is kidnapped with but separated from. And so they have this GPS that Pablo took from the truck that they were all on. And so now they have to go through and try to find, you know, where the truck goes to each time. But where the truck goes to each time is a place where they're harvesting human organs. So probably all those people are supposed to be taken there and chopped up slowly. It seems like they're only taking specific parts from people, at least, you know, what we saw of this issue. I don't know what I completely think of this, because some of the stuff in here is really weird. There's a lot of cussing that's just like, you know, like dumb, childish cussing. And it's from characters who are, you know, like, it's all from the bad guys. Glory is a really good character, and I liked Pablo, who's just introduced in this. But all the bad guys are really kind of annoying, and it's kind of hard to get past. And in this issue, they just set up that the sheriff and his deputy, they're really weird. They're sticking hot peppers up, I don't know, the sheriff's sticking hot peppers up the deputy's butt. I don't know, to punish him, also to give it, you know, it's a Hellraiser pain pleasure thing. I don't know, it's just like randomly put in there, and it feels kind of like to just be weird. And like all the bad guys having such like over the top bad cussing just feels like it's unnecessary. It's got a good story going on, definitely with Glory. So I'm probably gonna, you know, keep reading this, but I hope that it kind of improves. Otherwise I might drop it, because, you know, about half this comic is a bunch of characters that I'm not really into that much. They introduced this guy who's the organ harvester, and I can't tell what's kind of going on with him. He's really, like, just blasé and doesn't care about, you know, he's supposed to be just like a total sociopath, I think. But I feel like they're almost doing him a little over the top. But I also feel like he could be a guy that's not actually around that much. So if he's just a minor character, that's not as big a deal. this is Batman number 48. In this issue, the Joker, well, first he goes through and he shoots up an entire wedding at this church, which I'm not really a big fan of how violent they've made the Joker lately, but he's doing it all to bring Batman out because he wants to kidnap Batman before his wedding. He wants to be Batman's best man, and so pretty much he's going to kidnap Batman and force him into it. Tom King really writes the Joker well, just in how he acts and how he talks. Scott Snyder's Joker, the second most recent Joker, was kind of too scary all the time. And this Joker, he's totally insane. He's totally a psychopath who will kill people for no reason. But at the same time, he is going to make a bunch of jokes. And that's what's really, classic about the Joker. In this one, at one point, he takes himself hostage. He tries to take Batman hostage from Batman. But he shoots Batman. He shoots the bride that he takes hostage first. I don't know, on accident or just because he's psycho. But that's a great, that's kind of what I feel like the Joker should be. Did he purposely shoot someone? Or was he waiting to shoot that person and then just kind of slipped because he's just kind of a goofball? Or is he just, acting like he's a goofball? That's always a good Joker. That's kind of how Batman the Animated Series Joker was, I think. And yeah, it's really enjoyable. It's mostly all Batman and Joker. And the Joker, Batman actually humors the Joker at some point in this, but it really doesn't pay off well for him. Alright, so that's been the episode. Thanks everyone for watching, and please go through and subscribe and leave a like for this. And make sure to write in on the comments and tell me what comic books you read. And tell me, tell me about the Batman. I'm not reading all the, wedding prelude stuff, but if you guys are reading it and you think it's really good, tell me which ones I should go and check out, or if I should just check them all out. I mean, I'm excited to see issue 50 where Batman and Catwoman finally have their wedding and see what happens with that. But I don't feel like all the prelude stuff is that necessary to read. So if I'm wrong, let me know and come back next week for another episode. Thanks.